Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to MUFC versus everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Sean. So glad you guys are back this morning. So glad to be here again with our daily Man United news roundup. It has kind of turned back into a daily thing, right? It wasn't a daily thing for a while just because everything was so quiet. And I don't like to just to talk just for the sake of talking. I'm tired of hearing my own voice at times, so I'd much rather talk to you guys. But um, back again, got a lot of new links popping up today. Obviously, United are kicking off their preseason tour in the U.S. portion of it. And so I did want to hear your thoughts on some of the latest links, share mine, and just, talk, engage. That's what we do on this channel. It's more about you guys than it is about me. So I'm so glad to provide that platform and facilitate that conversation. So before we do get stuck in, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. And let's dive in. So first and foremost, if you haven't seen the thumbnail, if you haven't been online at all in the last 12 hours or so, United's away kit for the this upcoming season has been released officially today, and y'all, it is fire. I obviously, I'm a big kit guy. I have so many, and that's not a flex. That's more of an embarrassment and more of a cringy admission on my end. But I do love our blue strips. Obviously, I'm wearing one. This is actually my favorite of our shirts. This is the 11-12 away / 12-13 third. Remember when Nike was doing kind of that thing? But I really love this year's away strip. I like it more than the home. I haven't really seen the third one in person. The third one is nice though too. But bro, let me ask you this. How are we going to have a better blue shirt than Chelsea's? Have you seen Chelsea's home shirt this year? It is god awful. Like if I had the vomit emoji, I would throw that out there right now. Chelsea's away shirt is not good. And you're the team that's known for the blue. That's your color. You're the Blues, and your shirt looks like a screensaver from the mid-90s on an iMac or something. Like that's embarrassing. In any case, I've always loved our blue shirts at United. The 68 final, I just watched that on MUTV the other day. That was such a good final to watch. If you guys haven't watched any of those old matches from, like obviously the final, the 80s and stuff, go ahead and watch some of those. You'll have your eyes open to some really good players. Aston, one of our wingers in that match, he was a joy to watch. So in any case, the 68 final had that blue shirt, obviously. The 08 shirt, the blue shirt for the 08 that had the anniversary lettering around the badge, that was awesome. Our 13-14 away, which you've seen me wear a few times with like the blue checkered print, was pretty sweet. I don't really like the 14-15. If you remember that one, it was kind of weird looking. It had like pink and it had a collar and it was like a weird blue. Not a fan. The 16-17, you remember that one? I've worn that a few times. That's the one we wore when we won the Europa League final against Ajax in 16-17 season, obviously. The 18-19, that parlay shirt, I really liked. I was on the fence about that one when it was leaked and when it was released, but then when I saw it in Europe with the big block letters, kind of reminded me of like if you guys watch college football, like Notre Dame. So what it reminded me of, it looked really, really cool. And then of course my favorite one. So this is the 11-12 away. I love this shirt so much. This is my favorite probably of all the shirts we've had. So probably leaving out a few, but in any case, yes, the away shirt for upcoming season has been released. Are you guys planning on getting your hands on one? I don't know if I am yet. They are pretty expensive. Adidas just seems to keep increasing their prices. My buddy was telling me about, he's a Madrid fan, and he was like, man, I want to get this Bellingham. I want to get a long sleeve Bellingham jersey. He always wants the player issues. He likes the authentic. He likes all that. But he's like, it's like 200, man. And I'm like, no, sorry, I can't mess with you on that one, cuz. So, but are you going to plan to get one? I mean, if you already bought the home one, I mean, are you going to drop more on the away one? So it's hard when there's 3 shirts coming out and they're all fire. It's like, what do you do? But in any case, let's move on to some transfer news today. So the left back search, obviously we've been linked with a few fullbacks recently. I've not been shy about my opinion that we need a fullback. Like we need one. I'm going to fix my hat here for a second. There we go. That's more comfortable. I have not been shy about the fact that I think we need a fullback. I can't trust Luke Shaw's fitness. Malacia doesn't. I don't know when Malacia is going to be back fit. Sounds like Wan-Bissaka could be, one that we're going to sacrifice. And honestly, I wouldn't do anything with Diogo Dalot. He's been immense this past season. I think under Ten Hag, Diogo Dalot has been one of our most improved players, so I would not get rid of Dalot. But we do have a left back need to address. So we have been linked to quite a few new names in the last couple of days or so, especially today. So Samuel Luckhurst. Now I know. You're going to be like, Sean, you call him Samuel Butthurst. You don't like Samuel Luckhurst. You say he's got an agenda. He does have an agenda, but here's the thing: when it comes to being a human being, you can really dislike somebody. You can not respect their opinion. You can say that they make up lies all the time, but it doesn't mean everything they say or do is wrong. You don't want to fall into that fallacy there. So just because someone tends to say things you don't agree doesn't mean that everything they say is wrong. So I'm not saying he's right, but I'm just saying I'm giving you the news. So let's talk about it. So Samuel Luckhurst has linked us to a couple names, including David Hansko. He's at Feyenoord, he's Slovakian. Marcus Alonso and Tyreek Mitchell are the one that Luckhurst has been linked. So Hansko, like I just said, Slovakian. He's 26. He can play left back and he can play center back. He's definitely more attack-minded. If you go check out his metrics on FBref, he's basically in the top percent, literally the top 1% for pretty much every attacking metric there is out there. Shots, shot-creating actions, progressive passes received, dribbles, successful take-ons, pass progressive, all of it. He's in like the top percent. He's a very attack-minded fullback. I really, really like Hansko. He's at Feyenoord right now. He's been recently heavily linked with a move to Atletico Madrid, but Feyenoord are really digging in their heels. They want at least 35 million euros for him. I liked him when he was at Sparta Prague. I did a scouting report on him a little before he moved to Feyenoord. Actually, I did a scouting report on him. He was one of the first scouting reports I did way back when. Very good. At 26, though, and probably going to a step up, he's going to probably be a starter. I don't think we're going to spend 35 million pounds or euros on a rotation option. I don't see that happening personally. The other one that Luckhurst linked is with Marcus Alonso, 33 years old, free agent, obviously former Chelsea player. So he spent some time in the Premier League, went to Barcelona. Marcus Alonso, you guys, if you remember, he killed somebody while driving intoxicated and doing more than twice his speed limit. So fuck that guy. Moving on. Tyreek Mitchell, it's more of an interesting link. 1 year left on his contract at Crystal Palace. He turns 25 in a few months. His defensive numbers are decent. They're not great. Doesn't really offer a whole lot moving forward, at least in terms of what you'd like to see. He's not bad. I just don't think Tyreek Mitchell, he doesn't scream to me. He doesn't jump out on paper to me as a player who improves us in left back. He's not going to get in over Luke Shaw. He's probably better than Malacia, but he's not someone that I would want to spend that money. But if he's got a year left on his contract, and he is something that the scouts and the recruitment team have looked at, I mean, maybe it's worth a shout, but because Palace aren't going to want to lose him for free. Danny B, good morning, man. How are you doing? Good to see you this morning, my friend. Did you see that new away shirt, Danny? Are you going to grab one? I think it's pretty lit. I'm still young enough to say things like lit, as the kids say. So, and continuing on with left backs. So the next one's coming from Graham Bailey. So Graham Bailey has linked us with Archie Brown. He plays for Ghent. If you guys watch the Belgian league, like I said, ESPN Plus is beautiful. I get to watch a lot of the Belgian league. I've watched a lot of Antwerp. I watched a lot of Royal Union. I watched a lot of Cercle Brugge, Club Brugge, all of them, and including Ghent. I do like Archie Brown a lot. He's 22, 6'3". He's played for Lausanne Sport, obviously, who Ineos own. They signed him back in like 2021. Very, very good dribbler on the ball. He's in the top 1% for progressive carries and successful take-ons per 90. So he is a fullback who's going to get forward. He also is one who likes to make himself an option for his teammates. He's in the top 5% when it comes to touches in the opposition box and top 2% for progressive passes received. And he's also in the top 12% for aerial duels. And that you're 6'3", right? I liked Archie Brown. I've actually signed him once or twice in my career mode on FC24 as kind of that young option to come in and rotate and then take over for Shaw. I'm not just saying that because I signed him on FC24. He's actually a pretty good left back, and being English helps. I think he was born in Birmingham, so that does help as well. But that's a name that we've been linked with to Danny B. Blue or white? Going to grab the third white kit. Going to be from China, though, not giving them Glazers just then. The Glazers don't get to take any money anymore, right? They don't get their dividends. But I get it. I haven't I haven't really wanted to give the club my money for a very long time. But yeah, the third one's pretty sweet. That's the white one, and the blue one is the away one. I do like the blue one. I do like the white one. The white one to me doesn't. When I look at it, it doesn't look like a jersey. It doesn't look like an actual shirt. Like it looks like United does those like lifestyle series, those ranges of shirts now and then. Like we did one for the white strip last year. It was like a lifestyle. It looks more like something like that, but it does look pretty sweet. I like the minimal crest with just the devil outline. I think that's pretty cool. But it's just the money, right? It's just shirts are expensive, and I'm like, you call me cheap if you want to, but like I said, I get most of mine from eBay. This one I got from eBay. It's legit though. Like it's just someone's official one that they bought that they sold on eBay. But it's one of those things, like I see the new strips for sale for like 130 or whatever. I'm like, man, I know if I just spend a couple hours on eBay throughout the week, I can find one for like 40 or 50 bucks and it's not a problem. So the dissonance kicks in and I'm like, nah, I'm good. So on to more left backs. So Fabrizio Romano has actually linked us with a familiar face. He dropped Sergio Reguilon's name this morning, claiming that Reguilon was very, very happy during his time at United and would return tomorrow, actually, if United approached him and asked him to. What did you guys think of Reguilon while he was here? Obviously, he was an emergency signing, came in like last second because everybody got injured. He had a few bright moments, I think, linking up on the left-hand side with Rashford and whatnot. Is he the kind of left back that's going to raise the floor? Maybe. Is he the kind of left back that raises the ceiling over like Luke Shaw? Probably not. But would he want to come in and be a rotation? I mean, it seems like he's happy to. Maybe. But I don't know. Danny B says too injury prone, steady going forward. Yeah, I mean, Reguilon, I think maybe needs to head back to Spain, but we'll see what happens there. I'll throw another name out, and I mentioned this a couple times yesterday. I mentioned it on Twitter. I'll throw another name out in terms of someone like a Hansko who can play up high on the left and also and primarily play center back is Mario Hermoso. So he obviously has been with Atletico Madrid for several years. He's 29. He's a free agent now. Left side of center back, gets forward a lot. You know, Atletico played with a back three the last few seasons. I do think he'd probably be a better option for Real Madrid, though. They need some help and sounds like they don't want to spend a ton of money. So maybe he could be he's already Madrid based. So Danny B says, check out Patrick Dorgu. I've at Lecce. Yeah, I haven't watched Dorgu. I've looked him up a couple times. I know we were linked with interest in him earlier in this season. But and I remember looking him up and checking out some of his numbers and whatnot when we were linked. He's not bad, right? He's young. Would he come in and maybe be a rotation option right away? What do you think, Danny? It sounds like you do you watch a lot of the Serie A? I don't watch a ton of Serie A. I watched more of Lecce back when Morten Hjulmand was at Lecce before he went to Sporting. I did a scouting report on Hjulmand when he was at Lecce, actually. And so I watched a little bit, and I think Dorgu probably wasn't a regular starter then because then he would have been even younger. But obviously he's still young. So, but yeah, tell me more about it, Danny. Why does Dorgu tick the box for you? One fullback though that we are likely to be missing out on is Noussair Mazraoui. He does look like he's on his way to West Ham after they've come to an agreement with Bayern Munich on a fee. Sounds like it's going to be a package of a total around like £16.5 million. This is coming from Pledego. Pledego reports that United are not completely out of the race yet. We're still in the picture, I guess, but it's going to be difficult. I mean, all stranger things have happened. In personal terms, we're agreed with Xerxes and AC Milan, and Xerxes at Carrington right now. So, I mean, it could happen. We could still swoop for Fofana and get him, even though with personal terms, or you never know when it happens with personal terms. I mean, until they're holding up the shirt, right? Anything's possible. I have seen some claims, though, that regarding that deal that, because remember we talked about yesterday that West Ham were also potentially interested in Wan-Bissaka. We were going to lower the price. I've seen some claims that say Wan-Bissaka's wages and our fee that we want for him were a sticking point for West Ham, which I was a little confused by. So I looked it up a little bit. So Wan-Bissaka is only on $90K a week. Mazraoui is on $150K a week at Bayern. So I call bullshit on that one right away. the price, I mean, was pretty much going to be the same, almost lower. Remember the reports where we were going to lower it down from what we were demanding just to kind of facilitate that deal for Mizraoui. So I call bullshit on that claim. I think that Mizraoui's just maybe a better player than Wan-Bissaka. I think that, he would go to West Ham and probably start over Soufal, and he would not start at United. And so players, sometimes they want to play, sometimes they don't want to have to fight for a spot. Sometimes they want the spot, and sometimes that could be the deal maker for them, is to know that they're going to be getting minutes. So, and then there were some reports right before I went live, coming from David Ornstein, that Wan-Bissaka actually rejected the move to West Ham. So he wasn't actually interested, and he actually prefers Inter Milan. So that's kind of opened up a whole nother can of worms now. Could Denzel Dumfries be on his way to Old Trafford? Could, in a deal that sees Wan-Bissaka go to Milan? We've been linked to Denzel Dumfries in the past. I like Dumfries. I liked him at PSV Eindhoven. I think he's a leader. He gives me Gary Neville vibes in the way and like Philip Lahm vibes, the way he kind of leads from that position. He's experienced, obviously playing for Milan, getting a Champions League final, winning titles. There are worse options than Denzel Dumfries. Obviously, he's a bit older. Would he want to rotate? Would you want Dalot? I mean, I like what I've seen from Dalot. I think Dalot's final ball could stand to improve. That's something I haven't actually seen him improve upon. But as far as defensively, under Ten Hag, Dalot's improved, and I think that his just overall play has developed under Ten Hag. But I think it's just that final ball. I want to see something better from Dalot. So Dalot needs to spend the entire summer practicing crosses in the box. So Danny B, rotation, he has plenty of time to grow. He can compete with Malacia for a starting spot next year when we sell Shaw. He is similar to Udogie, solid in possession as well. Yeah. Udogie I really like. But then we've got Amos coming through. I mean, Amos is still very, very young. Probably, I know people were bigging up Amos earlier in the season. Still, he's very young. He's got a couple more years left before he's going to even get a sniff, I think, into the first team, in my opinion. But I have no problem. We are kind of burning through some of these younger players. We're linked with Anselmino. Obviously, we're maybe picking up that Arsenal striker, Obi Martin, as well. Some of these young players who are kind of ready for the future. But I mean, Dorgu he's playing, so we'll see what happens there. But it's a big step up from Lecce to Manchester United. A lot of players just can't hang. Anthony, I don't think can hang. Even Sancho, I don't think can hang with that kind of pressure. It's intense to playing for United. Not only the stature of the club, the difficulty, the physicality of the league, the expectation, the pressure in that regard, but just the constant media scrutiny and a lot of it is bullshit, but at the same time, it's constant in your ear when you're at United, whether you're the manager or player. It's like just a little mosquito that just doesn't go away. And it is just, I can see how that could wear down on some players at times. We've seen some players kind of struggle with it here and there. I mean, and even just the random stuff. Like, remember Antonio Valencia, when he signed, was given the number 7 shirt. He gave it back and took a different number because he was like, no, I'm good. I don't want that pressure. So, Danny B, Amas not ready. You're right, pal. I wasn't sold on Dalot up until halfway through last season. He showed he's United. Yeah, Dalot, in my opinion, like, what was the award he won, man? We had, I forget what it was now. Was it the Matt Busby Award, or was it it wasn't the PFA, was it? Yeah, I don't remember now. Man, I did a video on it too. I should remember. It's like sometimes with some of the stuff, it's like cramming for a test. Like, I remember it and then I immediately forget it. But it's like I only got a certain hard space up here, and it's when if I want to make room for new stuff, some stuff's got to get forgotten. So it is what it is. But what do you guys think of Denzel Dumfries? What do you guys think of Nusayr Mazraoui? Probably looking likely to go to West Ham. Is that one you're kind of bummed we didn't get? Obviously, I did that deep dive video on him the other day. If you want to learn a little bit more about maybe what we missed out on or what West Ham are getting, go check that out. Let's moving on here a little bit. So moving on to center back, there are some reports coming from HITC that Matthias de Ligt is growing agitated with Bayern Munich's stubbornness when it comes to dealing with United and that transfer. De Ligt has reportedly made it clear to Bayern that he wants to move to United. We've known for a couple weeks now. He only wants United. Personal terms aren't an issue. He's taken a pay cut. He wants to be reunited with Ten Hag, all that stuff. He made it clear. Bayern just aren't budging on that price. Man, we talked about the other day, they want something like over 50 million. We came in with like a 35 plus whatever million. Still a ways apart on that. All things being equal, De Ligt is probably the ideal center back signing you could get for United. The problem, my main sticking point with De Ligt, and you guys, if you go watch that deep dive video, I did that scouting report video, you'll know my bugaboo is the injuries, specifically the three knee ligament injuries he's had in the last couple of years on both knees. That's a worry for me. Our medical staff is not fit for purpose. We have way too many injuries. I don't want to sign a player like that only for him to be injured. I love Rafael Varane, but he was hardly fit. Luke Shaw is hardly fit. Malacia was gone all season. Licha was gone for like a whole season. Casemiro got fit, got misdiagnosed, had to get a second opinion, missed more time out. Rashford had that back injury a couple years ago that everybody kept pushing off, getting addressed, and he wanted to go to the Euros like that. Like, our medical staff we need to improve the medical staff, and they need to be stronger advocates for long-term player wellness and not just like, oh, I want to go to the Euros, let's not do surgery. That's crap. Club before country, get your shit taken care of, and then you can come back. He was still young. I can go off on that all day. Like, that was annoying to me. Like, that kind of made me really frustrated with Rashford that year. But the De Ligt deal it's gone quiet, but it's one of those things where it's quiet, but you don't feel like it's like done yet, right? You feel like something could still happen there, but we'll see. We do have to make some sales, and I think right now what we need to prioritize is midfield and probably a left back right now anyway, because we can't keep bringing in the center backs when we haven't sold any center back. Varane left for free. We still have Lindelof. We still have Maguire. We renewed Johnny Evans for another year. We signed Lenny Yoro. We still have Licha. We sold Kambwala. We can't keep bringing in center back because then we're under pressure to take lower prices if someone wants to. If we sign another center back, we signed De Ligt, and we still haven't sold Maguire, Lindelof. Then clubs are going to know, okay, we're skint. We need a little money. They're probably going to take less money for these guys. Like, we can't. Ineos sound like they're being a little bit more firm when it comes to these transfer dealings. Like, we're not rushing things. We're not freaking out about missing out about anything. We are just like, no, this is what we want to pay. This is what we know the player's worth. We're not going to overpay. And vice versa. We know that if we want to sell like Scott McTominay, I've seen people freaking out, why aren't we selling McTominay, 20, we just take it 25. I'm like, no, we can get more for McTominay. If you see that Emile Smith-Rowe is probably going to be going for like 25 million. McTominay is better than Emile Smith-Rowe. Like, McTominay had double-digit goals last season. When was the last time Emile Smith-Rowe had even double-digit match appearances? Like, we could get more for McTominay. It's worth it. Trust me. Like, and that's not me being like the money grubbing like miser. This is me saying like, no, like market value, we can get more. In other center back news, Mail Sport is reporting that Jared Branthwaite is now refusing to sign a new deal at Everton unless they match the 160K a week wages that United were offering when we were doing that deal. Does that seem like a high wage to offer Branthwaite to anyone else but me? I was hoping we were getting away from that kind of stuff. I don't know what he's on at Everton. Let me go look that up real quick. I feel like... Let me see. He's on 70. So that's more than double what he's making. We don't need to do that. We don't need to double Jared Branthwaite's wages just to get him to come to United. I feel like that, because that's going to make it hard to sell. And that's why we having problems like selling these players like Casemiro, like Harry Maguire, like Jadon Sancho. Can't sell anybody. We couldn't get rid of Martial. We couldn't give Martial away. Brad Varane was the same thing. David De Gea was the same thing. Like, we don't need to keep doing that. Some potential outgoings. There were some reports, and if you saw the thumbnail, you kind of know where I'm going. There were some reports yesterday linking Christian Eriksen with a return to Ajax. I think that could be a really good move for him. I actually said it, if you've watched the channel for a while, I said that a while ago, that I think a return to Ajax will be the best thing for Eriksen right now. I think he could go back there, be an experienced veteran leader, kind of like how Daley Blind did, and really help them out. And that league and that team, are known for bringing in some experienced players sometimes and working with them. Like I said, Daley Blind came back. Laza Shona was there for a while. Obviously, remember Shona from that Ajax's brilliant Champions League run, scored that awesome free kick. What's his face now? Who's the Serbian winger that they had for a while too? I just had his name on the tip of my tongue, and now I can't remember what it was. But he was there for a while. Went to Fenerbahce, I think. Danny B says, I assume you're talking about Branthwaite, not worth 100K, terrible in a high line, questionable in a possession-based team, bad at dribbling. Please don't sign Brent Tadic. Yeah, that's the one. Is on the tip of my tongue, and I had it, and then I started talking about him, and I immediately forgot it. Yeah, Branthwaite seems to me like and I'm not trying to be like xenophobic or anything, but to me, he seems like the quintessential like English kind of center back, like the Harry Maguire, John Terry, Gary Cahill type of center back. Just good physical presence, is going to clean up, in the box, in that kind of box defending, like does the simple things well. But when it comes to maybe, like you're saying, carrying the ball out, maybe recovery pace and stuff. And again, I'm not, if you've been watching the channel, that when it comes to center backs, I've never said that speed is most important. I think that people who think that sometimes play too many video games. You can read the game well and you have good positioning. You don't need to be super, super fast as a center back. It helps. But I do think that a lack of pace is made worse when you're depending on the system. This is why people need to pay close attention to the manager, the system, the tactics, all of that. All of that plays a role. It's not just that this player is slow, because Harry Maguire is slow, but if in a team like West Ham or even Everton, he would be fine. And under Jose Mourinho, he would be fine. Louis van Gaal, he would be fine. You can't play in a high line system with someone like Harry Maguire, or a system that plays out from the back with Harry Maguire, because he's just not good at that, as we saw. Danny B says Guehi far back. I do like Guehi a lot. I do like him. I think that it was a good opportunity for him at the years. I think we saw what he could do, and I think that he's one of those Crystal Palace players. It was like Eze, Elise, and Guehi that were like, all of them were heavily linked with moves away. Obviously, Elise is at Bayern now. Who knows what's going on? Their new manager is really good. Roger Schmitz, he's very, very good. They had a really good run when he came in. So I think that he could probably convince a couple of these players to stick around for another year, maybe sign a new contract to kind of help Crystal Palace out in the future if they do get sold. But I do like Guehi a lot. I really do. I think he could be a good pickup. And he's not old. What is he, like 23, 24? I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, Christian Eriksen could be going back to Ajax perhaps. Again, I brought this up a few months ago. I thought it could be a great move for him. I'm like transfer Nostradamus sometimes, I feel like. I'm calling him out, man. I love it. And this report's coming from Sam C. Obviously, Sam C works for United Stand. Seems like he's got a lot of good connections, a lot of good sources. He's had a lot of good stuff come up that's, proven to be true. The claim here is that Ajax want a loan, but United want a permanent move or a loan with an obligation to buy at the end of it. Eriksen is entering the final year of his contract, I believe. So it's better for us to cash in now if he's not in the plans, even if that's, 5, 6, 7, 8 million, just get it done. Even if it's like 5, at that point, I don't have a problem with Eriksen. With time and space on the ball, Eriksen is very, very deadly. But you don't get that anymore in this league. Premier League, a lot of teams are switching to a very high intense, high pressing mentality. He's such a liability defensively, especially if he's playing in that double pivot. Like I said yesterday, when Eriksen's in like one of the deeper midfield roles and a team is countering or something, he might as well, that red shirt, he might as well just be a red carpet for the opposition, because he's not doing anything. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful or hurtful. It's just a fact. I said the same thing about Pogba. Pogba in that position, out of possession, playing defense, was a liability. Pogba's problem too was that he was often the one who gave possession away because he wanted too much time on the ball. And in this league, refs are a little more lenient when it comes to that kind of stuff. And so if he's going to get muscled off the ball, not going to get a foul called for him. It's just not the way it's going to be. Danny B says, I would take Chalobah over Branthwaite. It depends. I don't know if I'd want to spend 25 million on Chalobah when it's clear he's not part of Chelsea's plans. Why would you spend that much on someone that they don't want? You could probably push them down to like under 20 maybe 15 up to 20. And then it's a conversation to have. There are other options. Like I said, I mentioned Mario Hermoso, who's a free agent right now. He plays center back, plays, on the left side, obviously. So similar to Branthwaite, more experienced, right? He would be an option for free. Danny B, give him, I'm assuming Eriksen, give him the Ajax for free and make a gentleman's agreement and buying Hato. Yeah, everybody's riding that Joel Hato train. I like Hato. He's very young still, though. But that's the thing. That's why I always have a soft spot for Ajax. Is like it's just like this talent factory, man. They just produce talent every single year. It's hit a bit of a slump, I would argue, in recent years since that kind of De Jong, De Ligt, Van de Beek generation went. They haven't had a ton of solid players, and the player like Urian Timber's probably the one that came through. His twin brother Quentin is actually very good too. He plays for Feyenoord, I think. But Ajax just you can't be a fan of tactics. You can't be a fan of like recruitment, academy development, and not like have massive respect for Ajax. And that's not even touching upon some of the prestige they have just in football, in European competition. Obviously, Louis van Gaal won Champions League with them. Ten Hag got them back to a Champions League semifinal for the first time in a long, long time, back to back Eredivisie under Ten Hag. Like Ajax are up there as one of the bigger clubs in football. But yeah, I don't mind. We do have good relations with Ajax, right? And so there probably could be a deal worked out there, like Danny B is saying, where you could do something. I don't know if they're going to be like, here you go. I think we could maybe get like the first refusal or something, or first chance at Hato. I would definitely take Hato over Branthwaite, though. That's for sure. I think he's a bit more versatile, a bit more tactically kind of developed, I think, than Branthwaite. But what do you guys think? Would you sell Christian Eriksen? Would you want to get something? Do you think Christian Eriksen has a role to play? Again, he's one of those things where without Eriksen, who else do we have in that team besides like Bruno who can do what Christian Eriksen does? Maybe Mainu. Is Mainu kind of taken over Eriksen's spot? Has Mainu kind of jumped ahead of him in the pecking order? Perhaps. Maybe you let me know. Did you see the reports yesterday that came out claiming that Ineos aren't demanding a top 4 finish from Erik ten Hag this season? This is coming from The Guardian. So The Guardian have claimed that Sir Jim has not given any specific target to Ten Hag, and he wants us to take kind of baby steps to achieve footballing success in the long run. This is according to The Guardian again. Continuing on, the Ineos are currently focused on improving the existing infrastructure of the club and have sanctioned a 50 million overhaul. That's 50 million pound overhaul of Carrington training base. So as a result, they're not pressuring Ten Hag to kind of guide that club to an immediate top 4 finish in the league. So curious to know what you guys' thoughts on, not like on this being true. I'm never going to come out and say like all these rumors are true because they're rumors. But let's say hypothetically that they were true. What will your demands be for Ten Hag? And this is probably jumping into another future video on what the expectations are going into the season. I think that's going to be based a lot on transfer window, not entirely on the transfer window, but a lot of it will be based on transfer window and who's kind of returning up to speed and who's fit and everything. But what would your demands be? Do you think that it would be right for Ineos not to expect top 4? I think Ten Hag came in his first season and kind of crushed it, didn't he? And then last season, obviously, we fell to 8th. I will defend to my dying day that he's played a role. You remember, we only had, I think 6 matches was the most that we had with any one center back pairing last year. And I think Licha and Varane only played together like 4 times. So you can't do anything with that. But I'm also of the belief that success brings expectation. It raises the bar. So when you go from Carabao Cup in 3rd to the FA Cup, I want us to be at least in the Europa League final next season. I want us to be in the top 4. I'm not going to be an Arsenal fan and think that top 4 is a trophy, but I want it to be an indicator of some sort of consistency, some sort of sustainability in terms of where we're at right now. And so let me know your thoughts. What would you like to see from us next season? Do you think that this is all BS, that Ineos, this isn't really a thing? Do you think that that's letting Ten Hag off a little too lightly? Who knows? I'm sure that he is under pressure It's not like they gave him another 3-year contract. They added another year. So we'll see. Moving on. So the preseason tour has made its way to U.S. soil. They are here somewhere in the U.S. Ten Hag, his coaching staff, and the traveling squad will have touched down by now in preparations for our friendly this weekend against Arsenal. I think that's in Los Angeles, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember exactly where we are on the U.S. tour. I don't pay too much attention to the U.S. tour. I did when they came to Ann Arbor for the International Champions Cup, because obviously that's 15 minutes from where I live, so kind of a big deal. I did get to meet Robbo. He was doing autographs at a store out there by the stadium, so that was a good time. But players heavily featured in the Euros and heavily featured in Copa America obviously didn't travel, so that includes Altay Bayindir, Luke Shaw, Bruno Fernandes, Lissandro Martinez, Dalot, Pellistri, Menu, Garnacho, and Xerxes. So none of these guys traveled. I think Steve McLaren stayed behind as well to kind of work with those players as they return from duty. And Pellistri could be on his way out. So if you want to learn more about some of the Pellistri rumors, go check out yesterday's video linking him with some moves to some different clubs. It would have been nice to see Xerxes kind of travel. Obviously, he can still travel. It's not like you can't jump on a plane and go if you want to take part in the preseason tour. I'm sure, too, depending on how much time is left, that we will probably have some behind closed doors friendlies, as a lot of teams do, and we have done in the past as well. This isn't as strenuous of a tour as Ten Hag's like last season, where we were all over the place, like Malaysia and whatnot. And so I'm sure we could see like a behind closed doors friendly or something, but we will see what's going on there. I know that some people right now are probably worried, too, that we aren't going to be doing any transfer business now that we're on the tour in the U.S. I was watching some fan channels earlier, a popular fan channel, probably the most popular fan channel, and he was kind of a little concerned and stressed that we're not making any signings heading into preseason tour. I'm just not as stressed about it. There was a story coming out from James Ducker this morning, too, that Dan Ashworth and Omar Barada will be doing transfers and overseeing all that remotely. Technology, am I right? It's a beautiful thing. I haven't seen a client in person. Like you guys know, I'm a licensed mental health professional. I haven't seen a client in person since COVID started. We have 2 offices, physical offices, but my wife and I have an office here in our house. I do my work remotely, not a problem. And then Matt Hargreaves and Christopher Vavell have remained behind in England to kind of coordinate on their end. So we're handling business. We're still going to be working. This ain't the Glazers anymore, folks. This ain't Woodward. This ain't Richard Arnold. This ain't John Murtaugh. This is the new regime. This is professionals who know what they're doing, who are efficient, who are like ruthless. They're cunning. Like, we're handling our business, right? So I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think that people have been kind of pushed into this pattern of thinking of this is the way we've done things. This is what we've seen. We've seen all this before. This is a whole new regime now. So let's not judge them ahead of time. Let's wait and see what happens. Danny B says, I honestly think we will only sign one more until we see some Deadwood go. We will see. I think that we've sold Greenwood. That's profit. Kambuala's profit. That's about 30 million right there off the top. I think we do need to sell more. I think that we probably do want to sell one of, if not both, of Maguire, Lindelof. And I do think that obviously we might want to move Casemiro out. And it sounds like Wan-Bissaka are kind of 4 priorities that we would like to move on. Maybe Pellistri as well. You could probably throw Pellistri in there. Maybe Sancho. I think that we could see a lot of these players out the door. I think right now, I know Juventus were linked with Sancho, and Juventus, I think, they've been heavily linked this morning with Kerem Adeyemi from Dortmund, so I don't know if they're going to be in for Sancho. Obviously, PSG were reportedly interested in Sancho recently. We did that video the other day. We will see. Sancho and Ten Hag clearly maybe have kind of moved on. Doesn't mean he's not for sale anymore. Doesn't mean he's staying. It's just, I think for the greater good, they've kind of agreed to disagree. So we'll see. But I do think that I don't think we're going to sign as many players as people say. I've seen people saying, we're going to sign like 5 or 6 players. I don't think we're going to sign 5 or 6 players. I think we'll sign 4 tops. And I think that if we do sign a 4th, it's going to be like a loan or like a free agent or something like that. I don't think it's going to be crazy. I think that Ineos are not going to move too fast. You remember Ralph Ragnick said famously in an interview, it's better not to sign any player than to sign the wrong player. You don't want to just sign players just because you're like, I need a player. We just sign whoever is available. You don't want to do that. It can cause so many more problems. I don't have a problem with us being patient, assessing, building. This is the difference between signing players and building a squad. There's a difference. It is patient. It is calculated. All right. It is sometimes slowing down to move forward. Like I've given the analogy, it's like firing a bow and arrow. You got to pull backwards sometimes to go forward. Sometimes that's what you have to do. It may not look like progress, but it is. And so I think we'll see what happens. I do agree with Danny, though. I think we are right now in a place where we do need to sign some players sell some players to sign some more. But we'll see how it goes. Like I said, this is a whole new regime, whole new way of doing things. We saw what we did with Euro and Xerxes. I don't think anybody, myself included, thought for sure we were going to get Euro. He looked Real Madrid bound, like for sure. Xerxes was pretty much in Milan, and we came in and snatched that up. And we didn't pay a ton for either player. So I like what I'm seeing so far. So I'm excited. I think you guys should be excited as well. Danny B says, that's a good point, Sean. If it meant keeping Slab one more year to get ahead to next year, it'd be worth it. Sometimes it's what you have to do. I don't think it's a problem. I think you get to a point with a player like Maguire where it doesn't really matter. I mean, like I've said before, if I had to choose one to keep between Maguire and Lindelof, it would be Maguire. He wants to play here. I think he's better than Lindelof. I think Lindelof looked really good early on when we signed him. I think he's just declined just with the changes in the physicality and stuff with the league. He just physically doesn't look like he's up to it. I think right now too, he would be the easier one to move on. And there's been some interest obviously from like Fenerbahce and whatnot. So we'll see. But sometimes it is about kind of marginal gains, measured losses and stuff, acceptable loss, and just riding out for another year. We can't get everything done in one season. We're not. And you've seen what kind of problems that can cause. I mean, look at what's happening at Chelsea in the last couple since Todd Bowley arrived. Look at what that club has become. They become a laughing stock of football. They've become pretty much a textbook of what not to do when you come in as a new owner of a football club. Like that whole club is a textbook of what not to do. I mean, let's not pretend like Abramovich was a very good owner. And yeah, they got trophies under Abramovich. He was ruthless when it came to managers and whatnot, but let's not pretend like he was this perfect example to go by. Chelsea are a joke. And our blue shirt is better than their blue shirt. So let's just have it right. And speaking of shirts, to wrap things up today, Rasmus Højlund will be our new official number 9. The club announced yesterday that he will no longer wear the 11 and he will now wear the number 9 shirt. We've seen some photos of that. The club made the official announcement. Rasmus Højlund is the number 9. Martial's out. I remember there was some talk. Is he going to keep the 11? Is Xerxes going to get the 9? What number is Xerxes going to take? Maybe Xerxes is going to take the 11. People talk about the 7 shirt at United and how legendary it is because of who's worn it. But to me, the number Ryan Giggs is one of my favorite players. There's a reason this jersey's here. If you guys grew up the era and I did, and you got the chance to watch Giggsy play in the late 90s, like the guy was like he was on ice skates and everyone else was slipping around. And like when he played, it was a thing of beauty. So that number 11 shirt to me is almost more illustrious than the number 7 shirt, just because of the fact that Giggsy wore it for so many years, and that was his shirt. I almost like to see that number retired. They did it with Totti's jersey at Roma. Why can't we do it with Giggsy's jersey? Just don't let anybody use it anymore. Just retire the shirt number. Man, Lutata, big up, man. Good to see you. So Rasmus Højlund, new number 9. What does that mean for Xerxes? Who knows? But I like what I'm seeing from everyone. A lot of left back links today. Obviously, I went through some of them. David Hansko, Tyreek Mitchell. What's his face now? Archie Brown, who I really like. I don't even bother talking about Marcus Alonso because screw that guy. He drunk drove and sped and killed somebody in your car in Spain. So moving on from that guy. So, man, what we got in this live chat? Let me leave this up for a couple more seconds here before I take off today. Do I see it's Ineos tactic going after all players to show fans they mean business? I think I think that we're actively like being more proactive than we have been in the past. Like I said, we're under Ineos, we've been getting deals done early. We're working on multiple deals. We're kind of drawing a hard line in negotiations when it comes to what we're paying or what we accept for players and whatnot. We're not paying crazy wages anymore. And I think that we're not just focusing on one player and working on that player for a long time. And then if that doesn't work out, I think we're trying everything. We're looking at all these different players. We have a lot of options open. We've got a lot of irons in the fire, as they say. And so I think it's a big part of it is that, but I think a big part of it is also, you know, United's name is what's going to get interest. If you're trying to get a new contract, if you're not trying to force a move, you mention United and it usually speeds things up. So the media, there's a reason they call it silly season when transfer window rolls around, because just the rumors start, and more often than not, the rumors have United's name attached to them, whether that's legit or not. It's just the way it is. Like my buddy and I were talking yesterday about friendlies, for instance. So, you know, I don't care about friendlies, but when United lost to Rosenborg, right, the media was all over us. Like, oh, they lose their first preseason, 1-0 to Rosenborg and stuff. City lost to Celtic yesterday in a match that had barely any people in the stand, and no one talks about it. No one cares, because we ruin a lot of childhoods. We draw clicks, and people will talk more about us when we lose than they talk about City when they win. More people were like, there were more stories about Jadon Sancho and Erik ten Hag having a row than about City's freaking bullshit trouble. You can't buy or cheat your way to that kind of stature. You can't buy or cheat your way to that kind of reputation, that kind of presence in world football. You just can't, no matter how hard you try. So happy you're here. Thanks for participating, City, but Manchester is red. It'll always be red. You guys will always be the noisy neighbors, and everything you have is stained with oil and cheating and everything. So deal with it. We'll all be here in November when the hammer drops. So thanks for coming out, taking everything away when those charges come by. So anyway, that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you guys for stopping by. If anything pops up later on today, any big announcements, any major moves, I will, of course, be back to get your thoughts, share my thoughts. Please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Glad to be able to interact with you guys. Thank you, Danny B. Thank you for Manlu Tata for stopping by this morning. I appreciate everybody. KD, I know you're probably at work, but I will see you in the comments probably. When we got Reverend Stuck, yeah, F City, Danny B. Cheers. Cheers, guys. Thank you guys for coming out. Good to see you guys today, and enjoy the rest of your day. And like I said, if anything pops up, I will be back. But until then, I will talk to you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.